warning, this episode includes conversation about trauma, abuse, and other situations that may be triggering for some listeners. Our intention is to educate and inspire. While professionals are being interviewed, this podcast does not offer personalized medical advice. If you need help or are in crisis, please seek medical help and advice from a professional. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoy this episode of The Lori Clarke Show. I had a fabulous conversation today with Tammy Valicenti. She is a licensed psychotherapist, an EMDR specialist, and a speaker. She led us into the most beautiful conversation about life and healing and finding ourselves again. She is a founder of Transform Solution. You can go to her website, tammyvalicenti.com. That's TAMMYVALICENTI.com to find out more about what she does and the work that she does. But, I always like to give highlights before the show and before you listen to the episode so that you know what you're getting into. She used this example that I thought was just brilliant. She said, our body is like a time capsule, and the emotion and physical symptoms are records of the past. And we can approach our body with curiosity, compassion, and love as we can find that this emotional space that we're in can lead us to healing. It's a roadmap. And I thought that that was really cool. Emotions and physical symptoms are roadmaps to heal. We talked about a lot of things, problems as invitations to become curious and connect. We talked about emotions as messengers. We talked about some stories, some examples that she had for us on a TED Talk that she did. You got to go and listen to it too. That's a great introduction to who she is. You go to her website and there's a TED Talk there. I wanted to read in the introduction, and I think this just sort of sums up kind of what our conversation was about. On her website, it says, "A medicine woman's prayer. I will not rescue you, for you are not powerless. I will not fix you, for you are not broken. I will not heal you, for I see you in your wholeness. I will walk with you through the darkness as you remember the light." And this is by Cherie Bliss Tilsley. Now, I think that sums up what we said in our conversation. You are not broken. Your life is fixable. Who you are is enough and you matter. And Tammy and I share in a beautiful conversation today. Please join me as I begin the conversation with Tammy. It's a good one. It was interesting because I sent you those talking points this morning.
Mhm.
And then I got a nudge.
I can't wait to hear.
I was hoping you'd say that.
Uh-huh.
And then I started thinking it's not good to just destroy a plan that you've just made. So you have talking points, you go, "Oh, by the way, I'm being led another direction."
Throw it out.
Because I've done the research, I've done the work, I've looked at I've done my own EMDR experience. I've had my own, I do somatic work. I was just there 2 weeks ago. I don't like to say I was diagnosed, but I would say that it has informed how I work in the world.
Mhm.
I have complex PTSD. So I kind of since moved away from saying I have it because I don't like to interact in that world.
Mhm.
Because I feel differently today, and it's because of the work of embracing shame and walking through shame and dealing with shame and
Mhm.
dealing with these loathing fears and the not enoughness.
Mhm.
But it was interesting. My nudge this morning was to say, talk about and ask the question, can you remember who you were before the world told you who you should be?
Yes. Yes, because that's what this all is. It's the uncovering and the refinding of the purity and the perfection of what we were.
And the thing is,
It's perfect.
we fight against it.
I
Like,
know.
where? So every time I was looking for something outside of myself
Mhm.
was this tension
Mhm.
with who I was, who I remembered I was before the world
Mhm.
told me and showed me and said, "Here's your
Yeah.
box, get in it,
Yeah.
and we're actually gonna take tape and we're gonna tape this shut around you and
Mhm.
isolate you so that you never forget that the world is unsafe,"
Right. Right.
right?
Yes. And this is it's a I don't know, I forget what word you use, but it's a re-remembering.
Re-remembering.
Mhm. Mhm.
Mm.
Mhm.
And the thing about the re-remembering is, as I've gone through my own journey, I was reflecting back. I thought, okay, so I was like 17 or 18 when I went to talk therapy. 1 year, and that was it. I
Yeah.
felt re-traumatized. I felt like I was just kind of recycling. I wasn't interested in going, okay, I'm gonna sit with my pain. I was more like, show me how to get out of here. Like
Yeah.
not running, but if what's the quickest way that I could run through my pain
Mhm.
and find myself again? That's
Mhm.
really what I wanted. And so I didn't go back to therapy until last year. So I'm 49 this year
Mhm.
and, or no, 50 this year. So last year I went and all that time had passed and I'd done
Wow.
all this exploration
Mhm.
and I discovered something that, um, memories lie inside of the body,
Mhm.
and the memory of who I was,
Mhm.
who I lost, was there.
Yes. 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 When you get close to the shame, the fears, the discomfort, the
Mm,
anxiety, the
yep.
panic, whatever it is, and you really shine light on it and get curious about it, that's when it's able to step back and allow the real essence of you and self to come forth.
How do we shine the light?
Mm,
How do we shine the light?
so many ways.
Can you tell us some of them?
Yeah. So I'm thinking about um stopping and asking the question, using our bodies
Mm,
mm, as compasses. So
mm.
shining the light is, um, I feel you. I know you're there. What do you need to tell me? What do you need to show me? What do you
Oh,
want me to know about?
I feel you. I
Mhm.
know you were there. What do you want to show me?
Mhm. Mhm.
What do you want me to learn about?
Right. What was your experience? What do you need me to know? And
So,
ultimately, what do you need from me?
right. So you're drawing the connection that our body is actually not separate from us, even though the experience creates this feeling
Mhm.
of disconnection.
Mhm. Right. Right. The disconnection, I think, is the running away from, pushing down, ignoring, as you said perfectly, boxing, taping up, putting away. I think that's where the disconnection comes.
Well, and I also think too, the disconnection comes from the narratives that we tell ourselves about that situation,
Mhm.
right? Like
Mhm.
the story, the narrative of I'm not enough. I
Mhm.
have to protect myself. I'm not safe. I'm a loser. I'm not smart. Like, we can go through all the I'm nots,
Mhm.
but that would take up this whole podcast
Mhm.
because there's too many I'm nots.
Mhm.
And there's not enoughs, and there's not enough I ams. in the middle of all of this, and it's rewiring and reworking our nervous system to
Yes.
not be in trauma, to not be stuck in this space where maybe it wasn't good. Maybe your situation wasn't good. You said, as I read your work, you say, look, we all have trauma in some form.
Absolutely.
And so it stays there.
Mhm.
It's in the how, and it's in these questions.
Yes, and it's healing those parts that really believe that they're not lovable, not good enough, not worthy. All of those parts carry those stories.
Mm.
And where did those originate? And what does that part need? I guess we're getting kind of into a little IFS-y stuff here,
Yes, perfect.
but certainly those parts then are frozen in that place. And once that we have contact with them and we
Yeah.
can use their stories for healing and viewing that through the lens of compassion and love and empathy, they do heal under our attention and our curiosity.
When you talk about internal family systems, which I've done, I love it, by the way. I
Great, great.
actually had to go through it this morning by
Mhm.
myself
Mhm.
in order to prepare for this. I'll tell you why I did in a minute, but would you just offer us a little quick snip? I know there's no quick way to talk about internal family systems,
Mhm.
but you might have an easier explanation than I would.
Sure. So I think you kind of touched on a little bit, but that we are born into this world with a self that's pure
Mm.
and doesn't have these negative beliefs and all of what the world has put on top of us and the shoulds and the ways that we've pretzeled ourselves to
Mm.
be okay or to accommodate others or our family members or our work or our culture. And that self so oftentimes will get buried under all of those things. And IFS is really a turning inward and looking at all of these negative beliefs or emotions or stories as parts, and that when we heal those parts, the self, capital S, self energy really shines through. The way that I see really is that that self is divine.
Mm.
Um, it's connected to everything. It is everything. Some people call it God,
Sure.
but whatever language you use, spirit, God, divine,
Yeah.
that's our true nature, that self, that being.
So then these parts from my own work
Mhm.
are, I went last year and it was like I just had some things that weren't tidied up. Like
Mhm.
there were just some parts of me that kept coming out. The memory kept resurfacing and it
Mhm.
was almost as if it was yesterday, and it tormented me. It was because I had been looking and I had committed to trying to remember who I was
Mhm.
before the world said, this is actually who you're going to be for now.
Yeah.
When I was living under that, it was this greatest tension in my life.
Mm.
There was this incredible tension between what I wanted, what I knew,
Mhm.
and where I was.
Mhm. What did it can I ask you, what did it feel like, that incredible tension?
It felt as if, so to use a body example,
Mhm.
it felt like I needed a chiropractic adjustment.
Mhm. Mhm.
Like my neck wasn't on straight.
Right. Right.
So it felt as if my head was here, but my body was here. And
Mhm.
I was scrambling for 32 years to figure out where she was.
Right. You were out
And
of
I
alignment.
Right, and I
Mhm.
tried different modalities. I'm like,
Mhm.
"Does this work?" And put my head on and go, "No, that doesn't no, that doesn't work anymore."
Uh-huh.
And then take it off and put something else on.
Yeah.
And as I became aware of my body, then it all started to play into itself. And
Mhm.
this old story that
Mhm.
I live with in my marriage, in my mind, I would keep telling the story or some of the experiences that I'd had.
Right.
And my partner Dave said to me, maybe you need to look into that.
Mhm. Mhm.
Because maybe the retelling of this is trying to let something go.
Right, right. And until you go in and let that go, the retelling will continue to happen through patterns and
Yes.
symptoms. Yeah.
And I found it tormenting.
Mhm. Mhm.
The narrative,
Mhm.
the vision, the
Mhm.
experience, and I didn't know why. I didn't understand it, and because you know this, Tammy, in our reality, we're not living in the experience anymore.
No.
The
No.
experience is way back there,
It is. It is.
but we're living it out.
Right. Right. Until we acknowledge it and allow it to transform and heal it, and then we don't
Mm,
have to keep reliving it.
mhm,
In the modalities that I use, the healing happens when you're looking at the symptoms. And now, when you think about that particular event or experience, that it no longer has a charge and doesn't live in your nervous system anymore,
mm,
that
mm,
feels and sounds like healing to me. Then,
mm,
then the deeper level is really and that's, I think, where more of the parts work comes in, and
mm,
the part of you that might have experienced all of that, that now isn't activated when you think about it,
mm.
is that part really integrated into the full self? That's another deeper step, I believe.
And the work that you do connects these 2 things together?
Yeah, I really found, I was trained in EMDR, I mean, 5 years, 5 years new. There's no research or
Yeah,
anything. And it was transformative on so many levels.
yeah,
And as time went on, I realized there's a limitation to it. There was something in the way. Sometimes there was like resistance or a
yep,
block
yep.
or a defense that was not allowing this person to really process what had happened. And that's where, if you get really close to that part, the fear, let's say, or the anxiety, or the resistance, and when you work with that specifically, it eases up a little bit. It steps
Mhm.
back. It feels some relief and will allow us then to continue to process with more bilateral or EMDR kind of work.
Yeah,
Does that make
and
sense?
EMDR is just briefly, uh, but it is bilateral stimulation, and I followed his finger. He just went like
Mhm,
this on the
mhm,
screen, and
mhm,
I was following that.
mhm,
Um,
mhm.
I was shocked at how quick
Yeah.
the memory resolved for myself,
Yes. A lot of
and it was
people aren't really are really, skeptical of, like, is that all it takes? Isn't there more? Are you sure it's not gonna come back?
I've been living with this crap for 40 years, and you mean to
Right.
tell me that you can move your finger like that and all of a sudden in 40 minutes it's gone? Like,
Yeah.
what?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah. I know. I know. It sounds hokey and crazy, but
it does.
it's true. And, it can be simple, and I
Yeah,
think we have oversimplified it a little bit,
sure.
certainly, but it's not easy. As you know, it goes deep, and it can be painful and difficult to do the work.
But the point of with EMDR that I appreciated was it
Mhm.
didn't re-traumatize me. Like I wasn't talking about the situation.
Right.
I was asked to give a snapshot. Like if you could give a picture of what that looked like,
Mhm.
what does that picture describe in detail what the picture looks like to me? And so I was able to
Right.
do that.
Right. The most
Uh,
disturbing image, usually.
yes,
Do you
yes,
know it works even without describing the image? I think it's called, like, a blind therapist protocol. So you could come to me with something that's very disturbing, and maybe there's too much shame, or just even you're frozen energetically in being able to even express to me what happened to you. I
sure.
don't need to know. I could just ask you, what are the emotions that come up when you think about it, and where do you feel them in your body? And then we're off to the races.
Because okay, we got to explore that a little bit more.
Yeah. But let's just notice what's up for us right here, right now. What are you feeling, and where are you feeling it in your body? I know the
Yeah.
way that I work. I think you've done your research, so you know that I'm not the expert.
Nope.
not even close, but I am the guide, and I'm just simply guiding you into the spaces in your body,
Mm.
to allow you to be able to explore that in a safe, um, kinda held way.
Yeah,
And then really our body knows the way. It knows the way to health. It knows the way to safety. Um, and so just having that guide to help you go through that in a safe, even titrated way for some people can be
yeah,
really helpful. Um, and a big thing I was talking to someone the other day about is minimization. That wasn't sexual abuse. It was just someone touched me inappropriately. And when we minimize, we don't give ourselves the opportunity to really deal with what's in front of us, or
yeah,
to, uh, yeah, or to process it.
yeah,
It's not that bad. Other people had childhoods that were much more horrific than mine.
that's right.
Right? Then we're not able to really deal with the truth of what it was then.
Mm. Because along I found that with that minimization, there was a normalizing.
Mhm.
Then it just is normal that you then feel this way.
Huh.
Be right? Like,
Mhm.
I had that told to me.
Mhm.
I actually had it told to me, eh, "Don't focus on that.
Mhm.
Like, we're your people."
Right, right. And
Right?
if it is normal in a culture to use a strap on your children, or to, I mean, there's a whole host of things we could talk about
Yeah,
that was normal in various,
yeah,
in various historic times. But it doesn't mean just because the culture was unwell or something was normal in that culture that it wasn't traumatizing or damaging
right.
to those humans that experienced it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then when we normalize, then we don't create the space for change.
Mhm.
It just suffocates
Mhm.
any form of movement because it's normal. We're very familiar
Mhm.
with normalcy. At one time, my mom and I were chatting, and she said, "I don't know." She was going on this big trip, and she said, "I don't know if I can enjoy myself."
Hmm.
And I said, "I've heard you say that for years." And she said, "Oh, I think I do." And I said, "Yeah, I think because we had such a hard life, I actually think we think that missing joy
Mhm.
is normal."
Mm.
I said,
Wow.
"Mom,
Yeah.
joy is normal.
Yeah.
Not having it isn't."
Right. Right.
And now we got to explore what it is in our lives that got us to this space where we began to believe
Mhm.
that pain was normal, that
Mhm.
endurance was normal, that
Mhm.
not knowing who you are is normal.
Right. A heightened nervous system is normal. It is normal in our culture.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It is, right? What do
Yeah.
you say to about the nervous system in this place? If problems are invitations,
Mhm.
lots of us normalize our suffering.
Mhm.
So, how does the nervous system play a role in that?
Mhm. Well, I mean, like we said before, when we normalize it, I think it doesn't give us the opportunity to heal what's underneath it. Um,
Yeah.
and just because something is normal, I guess normal, the definition would be like what's typical or what's the norm.
Yeah.
And, maybe in this country, the norm is drinking, 10 drinks a week, but that
Sure.
doesn't mean that it's a healthy
Hmm.
thing to be doing. Um, back to your question though, in the nervous system, I think what's typical in our culture is that we are not in our bodies. I think most of us are walking around with heightened nervous systems, and we call it panic, or we call it anxiety, or we call it stress, or we call it I can't sleep.
Um,
Right?
we call it
Um,
I can't sleep.
Mhm.
So, what do you, well, I guess then emotions are messengers. And and so then if before we actually begin to solve some things and
Mhm.
lead people into a space where they can feel empowered,
Mhm.
the natural approach would then be to talk about emotions in the body. And what I want to do is ask you what message does some of the emotions that we're feeling that keep
Mhm,
us in this normalized, minimized state,
mhm,
that sort of they're speaking to us, but we're
mhm,
maybe misinterpreting what they're saying.
mhm,
Anger, sadness, grief,
mhm,
loneliness,
mhm. Yeah,
shame.
yeah, yeah. Well, the emotions, as you know, emotions are energy. And
Yeah,
there's the connection right there to the nervous system and to emotions.
yeah,
And just to say something kind of overarching, and that is
sure.
that that people think about psychology and mental health as something that's in your head. It's not. It's our neurobiological system.
Wow.
And I think if we had sort of a cultural shift in looking at that, we would treat and work with it very differently. And I think the stigma would go down dramatically as well. But to answer your more specific questions, like what is anger saying to me? A lot of times anger, I think the message is do something, set a boundary, um, step back.
Step back.
That's
Right.
that's a scary one, the anger, right? A lot of people are taught that anger is a bad emotion because of
Yeah,
poor modeling when they were younger,
sure.
not allowed to express it because it's unsafe. But really, anger expressed appropriately is really healthy.
Yeah, anger for me is what do I need to protect?
Mhm,
What needs protecting here? Because
mhm,
something is, I don't wanna use the word threatened, but you know what I mean?
mhm,
Like, something you're feeling like you have to defend something here.
mhm.
What is it?
Right, right. And I think the key with any of these emotions is if you're in one on a regular basis, you're missing out on the rainbow of the other
Yeah,
emotions as well.
yeah,
And a question might may be for you to ask in some of these moments is
yeah,
is this a reaction to what's happening now, or is this an outsized reaction because of what happened to me
yeah,
previously?
yeah,
Hmm.
I've learned to ask the question, "What is happening, and
Good one.
does this have meaning?"
Hmm.
Those are some of the questions that I've been asking
Hmm.
myself.
Hmm. How does that help you specifically in the moment?
What is happening? It's a broad question.
Mhm,
It brings my outer world to the inner world
mhm,
of how it's showing up
mhm,
for me.
mhm,
And then does this have meaning? The
mhm,
does this have meaning piece is, as I have interpreted it now, is what is the meaning in my anxiety?
mhm,
What
mhm.
is the meaning?
Yeah, yeah, that's beautiful. There's a real in that process. There's a real connection and empathy and love, um, all happening in those quick moments that you're doing that.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
was thinking about this. I was talking with my eldest daughter the other day, and we were sharing about this. And you know how sometimes the body gives you anxiety or panic, and that equals a fearful or
Mhm,
negative situation.
mhm, mhm,
But in this situation, the body was giving anxiety and panic to say, "Hey, don't explore this. You're
mhm,
good. You don't have to go down that
mm,
path. Oh, this means I got to do
right.
this." It's a
Uh-huh.
negative connotation.
Mhm. I guess you're saying don't assume you know, but ask.
Oh, yeah. See, and this is what you just said. You're saying, I feel you.
Yes.
I know you are there.
Mhm, mhm,
What can I learn from you?
mhm,
So you're asking these other questions, or you're offering us other questions that we can ask, which leads me to this place. I listened to your TED Talk, by the way,
thank you.
and I loved it. I was
Thank
like,
you.
"Oh, this is so great." And this is kind of where I got the nudge this morning,
Mhm.
because I had listened to it, and then, I let it sit for a while, and it brought something up for me.
Okay, I can't
And
wait
I
to
was
hear.
like, "Okay." But you said
Uh-huh.
the body is like a time capsule,
Mhm,
and I
mhm.
loved that.
Thank you.
Would you just expand on that for us?
Yes. So I think I said something along the lines of our bodies are time capsules, and they're
Yeah.
also our compass and our guide.
Yeah, you
Um,
did.
yeah. So I really see our bodies as you described at the beginning of our conversation, as taking all of this input, throughout our lives, and all of that is stored in our bodies. And if it's something that's traumatic, we have that readily available. If it's something that was nurturing and loving, we have that readily available. And when there's something happening in the present, that's our invitation to say, all right, check in with the body, what's going on? And body will show us if it's connected to something when we were younger or not. I think you mentioned in some of your questions, a woman who that I mentioned in the TED Talk, who is
Yeah,
experiencing difficulty in her current situation, in her business,
yeah,
and is really
yeah,
frustrated by the lack of success.
yeah,
And when we went into her body, around her emotions and the sensations, it was
yeah,
the same exact thing she realized, because up came this assault when she was younger. And,
yeah.
she freezes in the present like she froze back then. And so when we unlock that memory and process that through in her body, she is now more in self energy, and she's really free. And through that, her business has more success. She's not frozen anymore. So when I say our bodies are time capsules, that they carry so much wisdom and so much information, that oftentimes when we're experiencing something in the present, the invitation is to say, what's happening? Where am I feeling it in my body? What do you want to show me? And to follow that and really just stay out of the way.
Stay out of the way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How do you stay out of the way when it's your body?
I love that question.
Because
Hello.
I am like, I'm on it. I'm like wrestling it to the ground. It's
I
what I'm
love
doing.
that vision. That's a perfect question, because going back to what we were talking about, like with IFS,
Yeah,
there's this self that we were born with, right? And
yeah,
that is separate from everything, because that's
yeah.
spirit or that's divine. So so it is separate in a way,
It is separate in a way,
right?
but it but it's what we do with that separateness.
Can you say more about that?
So I was this beautiful, alive
Yes.
child
Yes.
at 6 years old.
Yeah.
And then the world said, "You are shameful. You have to be hidden.
Mm.
You do not have permission. You do not have permission. You must be absolutely protective. You
Yes.
must try to fight every person that comes into your world because they are gonna hurt you. No
Yeah.
matter how beautiful you are, no matter what you say,
Mhm.
their motive underneath, they're getting you."
Right. Right.
I lived that way until
Mm.
actually 2 weeks ago.
Wow. Wow, you did some good work.
I know. I'm really proud of myself, and um, it was the first time that I ever, and this is why I'm making this connection, because
Mhm.
I have never, ever felt safe in my body until 2 weeks ago.
Mhm. And didn't you have to get into your body in order to feel safe in your body?
Well, I did in this
Mhm.
really interesting way. Melina led me. She was
Mhm.
just grounded, like you talk about.
Mhm.
I am going to hold the space for the universe, for God, for the divine to work in this person's life. I wasn't in the way. I was saying, I trust you, Melina. I trust you, Tammy, to
Mhm.
do the work, to be that person that's grounded and centered.
Mhm.
That person is offering me the space to shift just a little bit.
Yes.
And that
Yes.
little shift,
Yes.
it went right into my solar plexus.
Yes.
Right into my gut, and
Mhm.
I said to her, "Melina,
Mhm.
are you moving your hands?"
Mhm.
And she said, "No."
Mhm.
And I said, and I kinda opened my eyes and I looked, and it was something was leaving
Yeah.
my body.
Yeah.
And I came home and I was a wreck. Dave's sitting there
Mhm.
looking at me and I said, I haven't felt safe in my body. I've been married to him for 30 years this
Mhm.
year.
Mhm.
And he said, "Really? Like, I've known that, but really?"
Mhm.
I
Wow.
said, "You you give me a feeling of safety,
Mhm.
but I
Mhm.
I don't have it."
Mhm.
And he was just like, "Talk to me about that," you
Oh,
know?
yeah,
But
yeah.
that's what I felt. It was
Mhm.
this other space that
Mhm.
came in
Mhm.
to save me.
Mhm. Mhm. Yes. I mean, I would call that, I would call that self energy that you were able to access through the Melina holding that space for you.
Okay.
Right? And then when you healed that part that felt the shame, the "you can't be you," the
Yep.
"unsafe, I can't trust
Yep.
anyone," that when you had access to that part and she was able to heal a little bit,
Yeah.
she all of that steps back and you I love the word space you used. You had space to be you, right?
Yeah.
The essence that six-year-old before that happened, you had that permission and that space now to be you.
I know.
Mhm.
And maybe that's what you were saying in that TED Talk where you were talking about the woman who she was struggling in her life over here,
Mhm.
and the reality of what had happened was way back over here, but it
Yeah.
impacted her to the point where she wasn't understanding that there was a disconnection,
Right, right.
right? Like the
Yes.
silence of the assault, the silence or the suppression, or just the general invasiveness of your boundary being crossed
Yes.
sometimes creates a disconnect between our reality and what we've experienced. And so then that's where the power needs
100%.
to be turned back on again.
100% because it was a disconnection of self because
Yes.
that part that was frozen in that space, that part that didn't have agency
Yeah.
was so present, it was blocking out self energy.
Yeah. And that's what you said.
Mhm.
You said she didn't realize that the agency that she lost
Mhm.
in that moment was the same agency that she was not able to connect to in her business.
Yes. Yes.
Can you share a little bit about just that?
Yeah, so the she had plenty of agency, and in fact, she knew it in her head.
Right.
Right? But that she didn't feel it because there was a she would what happened was in that instance for that particular person,
Yeah.
she felt frozen in her business because the way that she was feeling, I let me see if I get this right. The emotions of frustration, confusion, and fear, and then where she was feeling them in her body were the same emotions that she experienced when she was assaulted.
Yes.
So when she was assaulted, she did the right thing. She froze, and that's how she protected herself.
Right.
However, if I feel frustration and fear and confusion in the present and I freeze, but I'm trying to run a very successful business, that's not the
Right.
right, that's not gonna work for me.
Right.
So that has to be that frozen part has to be, worked with and processed and kind of, step out of the way of the self and have that agency more revealed. Does that make sense?
It does make sense.
Mhm.
It does make
Mhm.
sense.
Mhm.
And I think for people who, are like, "No, it doesn't make sense."
Mhm.
I really think that the beginning question is to say to yourself, "I feel you.
Mhm.
I I know you're there, and I'm looking for you just like you're looking for me."
I think that's beautiful. Yeah, it can be a simple practice for people that it's I mean, the conversation could be really heady,
Yeah.
but if you take a moment, a breath, a drop in,
Yeah.
noticing any emotions that are coming up and where you're feeling them in your body and really simply saying, I feel you in my stomach, I feel you in my chest, I feel you in my
Yes.
heart.
Yes.
What do you need me to know? Just that connection, just when you guide someone to that place, you can feel the energy shift in the room in a moment.
I know, I felt
Mhm.
it because
Mhm.
I wasn't able to and and this you know this with trauma as you are a specialist in
Mhm. Mhm.
trauma, and I think trauma isolates us. It's like this whole moment where you aren't belonging. Like, you are the other immediately.
So brilliant. Yes, absolutely right. Yeah, because
Yeah,
I mean, we could say that, oh, a car crash is traumatic or a plane crash
yeah,
is traumatic.
yeah,
Well, not necessarily true because, I come to this world with in my experiences um with different things than you do. So what might
right.
be traumatic to me is not traumatic to you. But two things really have to be true. One is that it overwhelms my nervous system and my ability to cope. And two, that I feel alone. It doesn't mean that I am alone, but that
No,
that I have to feel alone. I had a birth trauma with my first daughter, and there were plenty of people in the room, but I'd never felt more alone in that moment. I was disconnected from everyone.
yeah,
Mhm.
I know that feeling as well.
Yeah.
But that's a really important point, that disconnection, because
Mhm.
for many of us, the trauma is the disconnection, whether it's being
Mhm.
bullied, that's an isolation,
Mhm.
or it's a strong word. It's maybe if you've been raised in an abusive home, you had given the silent treatment, and maybe that's abusive. It's where you are being isolated and held in contempt for something that you didn't do. You're just breathing, and that's wrong.
So brilliantly said. I absolutely agree. Yes.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and so I think we often live in this disconnected space about what has happened to us in our lives.
Right, right. And like you said, it's not just what happened to us, but it's what didn't happen to us that needed to happen to us or for
And
us.
that's why internal family systems is so incredible, and the
Mhm.
somatic work combined,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
because you are saying to that younger self, "This is me.
Uh-huh.
This is me, Lori. I'm introducing myself to you. I can see that you're 6
Yeah.
and that this has happened to you. I'm here
Mhm.
as you,
Yeah.
and I'm your older self, and I need you to know that I have made it.
Yeah.
You might be stuck." Of course, that child that's you, that younger self might think you're only 6.
Right,
They might
right,
say,
right.
"Well, we're only 6." "No, we're not. We have kids."
Right, until they have contact with you, they're stuck 6 in that place. You've
And
done good work.
oh, yeah. Well, and the power of imagery is so important in that
Yes.
spot.
Yes.
But then this is the piece that is so interesting to me, and this is what shame does to us.
Uh-huh.
This is what this disconnection and this isolation that we're speaking about
Mhm.
does. It says to us, "You have nothing to say.
Right,
Your
right,
voice doesn't matter."
right. It's not that I did something bad, it's I am bad.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Exact
It's not that what you said didn't matter, it's that you don't matter. Yeah,
exactly. And
yeah.
here's the evidence. The
Right.
evidence is that in that moment, framed in a box at 6
Mhm,
years old, you were
mhm.
isolated.
Right.
You aren't right now. But that feeling, similar to the woman that you talked about on the TED Talk,
Mhm,
where she was not she's in a position of power,
uh-huh,
empowerment. She's building a business.
uh-huh, uh-huh,
She's successful. That
uh-huh.
that is a beautiful, um, full-bodied experience.
Absolutely. Yep.
And it's right in alignment with this other space that says, "Oh, but you are
Mhm.
so small,
Right. You don't have
and
agency. You're not
you
good
don't
enough.
have agency."
Right, right. Absolutely. Yes, very powerful.
I was thinking about my own experience, and this morning,
Mhm,
I was reflecting, and what you didn't know, Tammy,
mhm.
is that, the woman that you bring up in the TED Talk, I thought it was me.
Amazing.
So
That's so
I'm
cool.
so this is vulnerable because my daughter, I have 4 children,
Mhm,
4 kids, 3 are adults and 1 is 15.
mhm,
And my oldest daughter, she said to me, "Mom, I read her something yesterday that I was gonna post,
mhm,
and I didn't post it."
hmm.
And she said, "You know, the whole thing here is about authenticity, right?"
The mouth of babes.
I'm like, "Why don't you go back to your own house right now?
So great.
You know where you live. Get your car and off you go." But instead, I looked at her and I said she said, "You know, see, here's the thing, mom. I'm 26, and if I didn't have you in my life, I would be craving authenticity."
Huh.
And
Wow.
I was like, "Okay." She said, "I think it's time for you to
Uh-huh.
move on."
Huh.
And then it got me stuck in this spot where I was like, "But I want to and I can't."
Uh-huh.
And right? So those
Uh-huh.
words
Uh-huh.
start to tell me the story.
Yes, I heard in the way that you said it that you're quite young. Maybe she's 7 or 9.
I'm I'm 6.
Mhm. Mhm. I heard
I'm
her.
6. I'm
Yeah.
6.
Yeah.
And she was silenced,
Mhm. Right.
and she was told that, it didn't matter your beauty because what they put on me was shame,
Right.
and
Right.
they put their anger on me. And then what I was then required to do, because there wasn't an adult in my life that understood this, and millions of us have this experience.
Mhm. Mhm.
Because now we have more information. Back then we didn't have as much as we want,
Mhm.
and that's not an excuse, but it is the reality, I
Yeah.
think,
Yep.
and
Yep.
my reality. They didn't know how to work with this.
Mhm. No.
And so me, learned to quickly carry everybody's responsibility,
Mhm.
make sure everybody was good before anything went bad.
Yes.
But she also learned something that, and is the reason why I do this podcast,
Mm.
is she learned that her voice didn't and doesn't matter.
Right. Right.
And she believed she was stupid.
Wow.
And she was told that.
Yeah.
So I spent the back half of my life going, I'm not doing this.
Mhm.
And I had to I worked my narrative to get it into a space where it began to reveal
Mhm.
it's enough. So 69 episodes in, I'm saying, this is who I am, and
Mm.
this is my life, and I'm gonna write it,
Yes.
even though I feel very um, ill-equipped to do
Mm.
that.
Mhm.
Writing for me, it's like hot vomit, right? It's just like,
Mhm.
"Bleh, there it
Mhm.
is."
Mhm.
And when you read it, you're like, "Okay, that's full,"
Mhm.
but it's
Mhm.
not organized.
Yes. Yes.
I don't care anymore because I
Yes.
can't care
No, no. There's your voice. There she is. There she
because
is. You're right.
weeks ago,
Uh-huh.
I found safety.
Yes. Yes. It was all put on you. It didn't belong to you. It's not of you at all. And the thing I was gonna say earlier, I remembered as well, and this is something we all do, the stories we tell ourselves when we are younger, which is, "I'm not good enough. I don't matter. I'm not lovable." Those are all stories we have to tell ourselves to survive. We all do it. We all
Yes.
carry these internalized schemas that
Yes.
don't belong to us
Yes.
and that were survival skills then because we couldn't believe that the people that were taken care of were that. They weren't good enough, that they were doing bad things. We wouldn't have been able to tolerate that because our survival would be in question. So we take it on. And then we take it into our adult lives where it's no longer useful, not as a blanket statement, certainly. And you have found, and it's going to be different for all of us, these journeys,
Yeah.
you have found ways to unlock that, to hand it over to the universe, to
Yeah.
access your agency and your voice and your worth. And that's really, I think, our life's work and the work that we do in therapy.
Yeah.
Um, and the journey, like I said, will look different for everyone, and unlocking that and transforming that, transmuting it will look different for everyone. But we've talked about a lot of those tools on this particular episode,
Yeah.
and there's so many others. Do what speaks to you. Do what works for you.
Yes.
Um, but do it.
Right. Do it when you're afraid.
Oh, yeah, I always
Yeah.
say that. Yeah,
Yeah.
of course you're afraid. Well, tell afraid it's coming along for the ride. We're doing it anyway.
Well, and that's something that I think is important to note here too.
Mhm,
We can talk to our body and we can speak to the emotions and let them know
mhm.
what the plan is.
Yes.
Like we can say, "Hey, anxiety, I see you right now.
Mhm,
I
mhm,
absolutely see you, but what you're going to do
mhm.
is you're going to go sit over there."
Yes, you're gonna give me a little space. I like to say I'm gonna breathe myself a little bigger.
Ooh,
Mhm.
I'm going to brief myself a little bit.
I'm going to breathe myself a little bigger,
Breathe.
so and
Ah.
then whatever that is, the fear, the anxiety, just step back a little bit. Just give me a little room, please.
Yeah, you're suffocating me. It's like
Absolutely.
you can't see.
Right, right,
Somebody
right.
cooks in the kitchen.
Yeah,
Yeah. And
yeah.
sometimes we don't understand that we can actually speak this.
Oh, yeah, on the regular. In my car, in my head, walking the beach. Mhm, 100%. In fact, I would go a little further, not just to say that I wanna breathe myself bigger or go sit over there, I have some work to do or come along
Yeah.
for the ride, but sometimes I actually invite those, I guess, what people would call negative or difficult or uncomfortable
Yeah.
emotions, on board because I like to do things that I like to go to the edge where fear comes up, where anxiety might be coming,
Yeah.
just a little bit so that I
Yeah.
feel alive,
Yeah, me
you
too.
know?
I
Right?
call it asymmetry.
I love that. That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I call it asymmetry because
Mhm.
we want the symmetry in our life.
Mhm.
We want the balance. We want to look at something and go, okay,
Mhm.
that's exactly the same on that side as it is this. So that makes me feel good. It's pleasing to my eye. My eye can move on.
Mhm.
I feel good.
Yes.
But when we have something off, there's
Mhm.
just this asymmetry that's
Mhm.
not quite there. I thrive in that.
Yes. Especially for me when I choose it.
Yeah. 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 I find that, I haven't chosen a lot
Mhm.
in terms of the things that have happened, but I have chosen how to respond
Yeah.
to what has happened.
Yes. Well, I imagine starting a business and a podcast and all of that must be the choosing of going to that edge, the choosing of the asymmetry.
It is the choosing because if somebody said to you when you were a child, what are your dreams? And
Mhm.
I said, oh, here's my dream. I'm sorry, Lori, you're not going to do that.
Mm.
You aren't. And I got to break the news to you that you are going to just be like this.
Mhm. Mhm.
I lost all the dreams.
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't know. I was so young.
Mhm.
I didn't know.
Mhm.
So this podcast, this way that I show up
Mhm.
is is a big FU in some ways.
Yes.
And it's not, but it's not out of that, there's like that anger unprocessed. I don't
Yes.
have that.
Yeah.
I have like, we are all healers of the world through our own experiences. And it's about healing the one person
Mhm.
in the world that touches us.
Mhm.
They bump into us.
Mhm.
It could be your dog gives you the most joy in that moment when you're feeling super sad, but somehow you lift a little and you can feel a little lighter.
Mhm.
That's healing power in the world. And we all have the opportunity to give that.
Yes.
And
Yes.
it's like in our personal worlds, we can lead one another.
Mhm.
And we can
Mhm.
do that through the power of our story, and so
Mhm.
that's what I've started to do.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah. There's a beautiful mirror in all of that. I said the other day to someone as well, I'm thinking about that as a reciprocity. The work I do is a reciprocity.
Uh,
In my own work, and my therapist said to me the other day, "You process so quickly, or you move through this so quick." I
yeah,
said, "Well, I've been doing my own work for so long, but it's also being in it with others, being in conversation with you, that we are transforming and transmuting by that mere exchange of and connection of energies, like you described with the
yeah,
dog too. Yeah,
yeah. You have a therapist too.
I do.
I love that.
Yeah. I couldn't
That's
do I
important.
absolutely, absolutely. I dip in and out depending on the stage I am in my life or what's going on,
Yeah.
and, I've learned more, in how to do this work and how to show up,
Mhm.
in my own through my own work than I have anywhere else. I I think I said this on my website, like, I've benefited from the modalities that I use and found them
Mhm.
transformative in my own lives, and I invite people to choose these modalities or any others, but to choose to walk that path because, um, we don't have to suffer. There are other ways. There's another story, I don't think I told this on my TED Talk, but it's about a
Mhm.
woman who had experienced an assault in her 20s, and, through the work that we were doing this was done, I mean, in 2 or 3 sessions, as you know, this work is deep and fast.
Yeah.
Um, she at some point or maybe I did tell it in the story, in the TED Talk, she returns to that moment, but instead of the assault happening, she pushes him off and leaves the apartment, and in that moment, I think I say you can see the energy shift in her body and how light she is and how expressive she is and how, the agency and she's sitting up straight and all of that. But the most important thing about that story that I want people to hear is that
Yeah.
she effectively changed her history. She knows that the assault happened,
Yes.
but it doesn't live in her body that way anymore at all. It lives in her body as if it didn't happen.
A and how is that I know this true, I know it's true as well,
Mhm,
but for those who don't understand this just yet,
mhm,
so you're not saying it didn't happen. What you're saying is the nervous system and the energy flow of our body
mhm.
can be moved and adjusted.
Yes. 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 In a way, what she put into her nervous system was that she shoved him off and ran out of there. That's what exists in her nervous system. Mhm.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
she was the person who saved herself.
Yes, 100%. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
And
She's her
and
own heroine.
and and isn't that all of it right there? That we are
That's
the
all it
people that will save ourselves. We are our own heroine. You're brilliant.
Ooh, I love it. I love that.
So good.
Yeah, I did that this morning.
Mhm.
I I whipped up some wind, boy, and that person went into some kind of whipped wind experience, and
Mhm.
I was like I didn't even use my body. I held that six-year-old on my chest,
Mhm.
and I spoke to that person, and I said, "This isn't my fight, this is God's,
Yeah.
and I don't wish you ill, but you will deal with the maker.
Yes.
And so I
Release.
return to you what is yours,
Yes. It
and I
is no longer mine.
restore unto
Yes.
me what is mine."
Ah, perfect. Beautiful. Wow.
And that's
Exactly.
righteous rage that flows in my body right now.
Yes.
Yes, a sense of agency, a sense of, um, I feel
Power.
it.
Mhm. 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 Mhm.
Can as we wrap up,
Mhm.
just to bring that one example back, because it's important to me,
Mhm.
and I have you in this call.
Yeah.
So when when you find yourself in a situation like the woman who you used as the example of the business where it was
Mhm.
not working for her, there's something that was just this loss of power.
Mhm.
That's what you're talking about, right?
Mhm. Mhm. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. She was frustrated by lack of access to something, right? She
Ah,
didn't know what
yeah.
it was at the time.
Right.
But I
Right.
just simply, if we start right where you are and get curious about it and then follow it where it needs to go, you will invite and be led to a very healing, transformative experience. It's quite simply that simple.
Quite simply that simple. If you could just give our listeners a takeaway, what is it
Mm.
that you how would you encourage them?
Mm. I think if they're curious and want more, that, maybe you take a moment to do a little meditation
Mm,
around, "What am I noticing in my body right now?" And then say hello to it as if it's a separate part of you, because it is. And then let
mm,
it tell you its story and what it needs, and let it show you what it needs to show you. There's more information about all of those kind of exercises. And Dick Schwartz wrote a book called No Bad Parts, and he does some meditations in that.
yeah.
Um, and I would suggest doing some um, somatic exercises, or joy, play. Right? I find myself
Mm,
talking about that a lot in sessions, going back to play. As adults, we've lost our play, and I think we really lose a life force of energy, of eroticism, of our sexuality, of our
yeah.
energy and our power when we don't play on the regular. So get
Yes.
out and play, maybe.
Get out and play.
Yes, yes.
Don't have to have it all solved in one day, right?
No, no, no.
Being kind to ourselves like we would a friend, and
Absolutely,
speaking to ourselves like we would, one of our best friends, you know?
absolutely. Yeah.
I speak to myself. I would never talk to anybody the way I speak to myself.
No, most of us would not. It's true. That's
Yeah.
true. Mhm,
So,
mhm.
you've definitely called us higher today,
Thank you.
and this is outstanding.
Keeping in mind we are spirits having a human experience.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's been a joy. It's been a
Yeah.
pleasure. And
Yeah.
thank you for sharing your story.
Oh, thank you for hearing, and thank you
Mhm.
for, joining me in this time. It's a real privilege.
For me as well.